everyone, today we are looking at the Ohuhu 72 oil-based coloured pencils and also their 24 Nahuku acrylic markers. So I'll start off with the pencils. I've had these for quite a while now, had a lot of things going off. As you know, I've got a new puppy and there's been different things happening. I haven't managed to review them yet, but it was also because I was having a really hard time with them when I first started using them, when I first got them. And I was just thinking, gosh, you know, what's going on with these pencils? Why aren't they performing, you know, as I would expect them to? And I was all ready to tell you, don't buy them. I'm not recommending them. But then I've been looking at other people's reviews and I was like, how come everyone seems to love them? It must be something I'm doing wrong. And I realised that the paper that I'd been colouring on was the wrong kind of paper. So a bit of backstory is, I usually get the Nina Bristol Vellum cardstock and it's always been brilliant for pencils. And I printed off a whole book of PDFs with that paper. And then I realised when I was coming to colour something else on the same paper, it wasn't the right texture, it was too smooth. And I think I've bought the smooth type of that paper, whereas I should have been buying the toothy paper. So I bought the wrong paper. So it wasn't Ohuhu's fault, it was mine. I'll just show you that page that I coloured with that paper. So this is one of Mrs. Buttered's illustrations from her Patreon, and I've bound them into a book. So this is the page that I coloured completely with the Ohuhu pencils. And there was just a few areas on there where the layers built up far too quickly and it was starting to rip the paper a little bit. I also felt that the colours weren't laying down very well. There was a lot of speckles, a lot of, I know they're oil pencils, but there was a lot of waxy build-up, especially here on the skirt. I'll lift it up to the camera so you can see. But you know, just there on that really dark part of the skirt, there's quite a lot of wax build-up there. And then on her cheeks as well, you can see it was starting to pill the paper and rip the texture. And I just generally was not happy with how the colours were laying down. And I thought, so this formula, it's not been made very well and I'm not going to be able to recommend it. And then, like I said, I realised that I printed on the whole wrong paper. So we're going to start again from scratch. I have been colouring a piece from Small Victories with these pencils. I'm probably getting ahead of myself a little bit, but we'll do it the wrong way around, why not? And I'll show you the piece that I've coloured with the pencils, if I can find it in the book. Here we go. So this is the piece that I coloured, and as you can see, it is looking a lot better on the page. Now, of course, this is really nice paper, so I thought if a pencil doesn't work in this book, then it must be bad. But yeah, it worked absolutely wonderfully. And I'll talk a bit more about my experience with colouring with them later on, but just wanted you to see that this is the kind of blending and colour vibrancy that these pencils can give. So there you go. Right, let's have a look at the tin. We've done this upside down, like I said, but whatever. So the tin itself, there's 72 pencils inside. It is just a normal standard metal tin. Now on the back, we have the numbers of each pencil and a little swatch of their colour. It says they are oil-based and it also says light fast. Now that is a bold claim to make because these pencils are not, they're not marketed as artist quality, or at least I don't think they can be for the price point. And I really don't know what kind of light fast testing has been done on these. A lot of pencils, especially ones made in China and around there, are subjected to light for around a week or 2 weeks, sometimes a month. They've just exposed them to light and then they tell you how light fast they are. That is not an industry standard testing method, at least not in, you know, this country. So I don't know about this light fast claim. I'm going to have a look on the literature inside and see if it tells us any more. But for the price point, 72 pencils, if you compare them with Caran d'Ache Luminance or even Polychromos, you know, which have been tested light fast, these are just a little bit cheap and it's making me a bit suspicious. So I'll open them up and you'll see, oh, that's stuck. That's nice, isn't it? It's just stuck to the underneath of the lid. We have the user manual, the swatch card, which I have already filled out so you can see all of the colours and what they look like. I never like the swatch card material that they put in, not just Ohuhu, but any other kind of pencil brand. Usually the swatch card paper is not great and it doesn't show the pencils to their full capability. And then here are the pencils. So underneath the lid we've just got Draw, Feel, Empower, and it is two layers of pencils. So you can see I've been using them, and some of them are shorter than others. One thing I will say about them is they sharpen really well, and they seem to hold a point for quite a while too. I've had no problems with any breakages or anything like that, and I have sharpened every single pencil, as I usually do when I get a new set. So as for the colours, let's have a quick look. There's definitely some purples missing, which is usually the case, especially with pencils claiming to be light fast. Purple's not really a light fast friendly colour, so you often find that you won't find much purple in those big sets excuse me, like Caran d'Ache Luminance. So I'm just looking down the line here. We've got lots and lots of orangey, deep oranges and pinky reds, but I'm finding it difficult to find a true red. Geranium Lake is probably the closest that you're going to get, but the rest of them have either too much pink or too much orange. There's not really a true red, to my eye anyway. We've got some yellows, that's nice, going into yellowed oranges. And then the pinks, this one here, number 71, looks almost like a fluorescent pencil, like a neon pencil. We've got some red violets, and then, like I say, a few purples. The blue, we haven't got an awful lot of range in the blue tones, so I don't really see any variation in those blues, to be honest. We've got a couple of greeny blues, or blue-green, sorry, but not very many greeny blues, which it is different. One colour that I really like is the lettuce green. It's a really nice, soft, minty sort of colour, and the Bermuda as well, and they go really nice together. Then we have a few of these more mossy, sagey greens. We've got some browns, but they're all a bit all over the place. And then you've got some flesh tones as well. The greys, let's just have a look. So we have one French grey, one that's called Silverfish that looks warm to me. Then we've got a pale brown grey, again warm. Warm grey, deep warm grey, Payne's grey. There are no cool greys in this whatsoever. We then have a silver and a gold, which actually aren't too bad. Sometimes metallic pencils can be a real letdown, but these aren't bad at all. But yeah, I suppose I would have changed certain colours if I was creating a 72 set of pencils, because some of them are just very similar, especially on this red line. So I don't know, it's personal preference on whether or not you think that the colour range is optimised for 72. Probably not, in my opinion. The pencils themselves then, let me grab one to show you. So they are round and they have a glossy paint to the barrel, and they are in the colour that they have in the core. So whether or not that is true to the core and accurate, I don't know, we'll have to have a look. And they have Halawa Ohuhu written on them. Let me get this up to the camera. And then you've got the name of the pencil, dark brown, and the number. Now here it says conforms to ASTM D4236. Now ASTM is a recognised light fast process, so maybe I'm going to eat my words about the light fastness. That's interesting. I want to know more about that. But they're quite thick pencils. I would say they're thicker than a Prismacolor for sure. It's hard to tell on the screen, but they are a bit thicker. And the cores seem to be thick as well. I'm looking at about maybe 3.5 mil up to 4 mil, the cores. They're really quite thick cores. They do feel sturdy. They're nice pencils in that way. And there's nothing else really to say about the packaging. Like I said, it's a typical metal tin with plastic inserts. that are sometimes a bit difficult to grab onto, especially if you've got long nails that need doing. So there we go, that's the pencils and the tin. Let's have a look at this user manual and see if we can find out a bit more about the Lightfast claims on this. So we open it up. Features Lightfast and waterproof. Oil-based coloured pencils that are lightfast and waterproof, making them ideal for preserving artwork. That is a big claim. Richly saturated pigments. These artist-grade pencils feature vibrant colours with high saturation. Soft and thick lead. Eco-friendly natural base wood. Crafted from natural base wood, these pencils are safe, eco-friendly and comfortable to hold. I'm not sure what quality base wood is, or basswood, I don't know how you say it, but I'm pretty sure it may be one of the cheaper woods that you can use when making pencils. Again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And it says they're easy to blend and colour with, so that's the main thing. It says these coloured pencils use ultra soft lead, so slight chipping during drawing is normal. So that means the dust and the debris that you get from the pencils, they might be a little bit crumbly. And it says if you encounter any issues, feel free to contact us. So I guess their customer service must be good and they'll try and sort it out. And then it's just little bits of notes. What have we got on the back? Nope, this is all different languages. Then we have a swatch of all the colours, names and numbers, and that's it. So all I'm seeing here is that it says they're Lightfast and it's got ASTM printed on the barrels, but we don't have any other information. So that's something I'm going to have a little bit of an investigate about. We'll see. Right, so I'm going to be doing my coloured pencil testing chart for these with you today, so you can see me doing it. We are going to open these up again, and I'm going to need to get a rainbow blend going. I don't think I can do this here because I'm going to need a green. So let's pull those out, put them up to the side, and we can begin. So I need to write the name of the pencils first. So this is the Ohuhu. Is it Halawa? I can't remember now. Where have I put the thingy? It's not even on there. Oh yeah, Halawa, right. Halawa 72. Now the first step on my chart is to try and make a rainbow blend and to see how that goes. So I'm going to get that pencil that I said was more or less a true red, which is Geranium Lake. Then I'm going to get an orangey pencil. Let's try this one. This is Persimmon. And I need a yellow, but I'm going to go for more of an orangey yellow because it'll be too big of a step. Then I'm going to get a yellow. And then we want a green. That's going to blend nicely. What about this one? Maybe green, and then we want a bluey green. What's this one? Let me have a look at my chart. Rich blue green, yellow green, rich, a little bit too much between those. So we've got yellow green. Then I want to move into blue. The azure blue might work. Let's try that. Then from the azure blue, I want to move towards the purple. So maybe I'm just trying to use as least colours as I can. Maybe we can skip to the cobalt blue greenish, which has got a very Polychromos sounding name. And from there, we should be able to move into the blue violet. What's this one? Right, we'll see how that goes. So I've got my rainbow colours, and now I'm just going to give them a quick sharpen. Okay, let's begin then. So I've got the red, and I'm just going to do a rainbow all the way across. Now, when I'm using these pencils, they do feel really soft. They're definitely a soft leaded pencil, and I would have said that they were wax and not oil. So it's surprising to me that these have been marketed as predominantly oil-based pencils, because to me they feel more waxy. And that's probably why I was also feeling like I was getting a waxy build-up with them on that first page that I did. we do get some crumbs. Now usually with oil-based pencils, and I'm not using a hard pressure at all, usually with oil-based you only get kind of a tickle of colour on your first pass because they're designed to be layered and they don't really like being pushed or burnished too quickly. These just seem to give off really, really vibrant colour with barely any pressure. So that's why I was kind of a bit confused about, are these definitely oil? As we know, all pencils have wax and oil in them, but there'll usually be one or another that is used more in the mixture for the pencil. So this, they're marketed as mostly oil, but I don't know. So you can see some crumbs coming off there. So they definitely are soft. You can tell, you know, you can tell with colouring with them, and you can tell with the amount of crumbs that are coming off as well. And just the way that they blend like a wax pencil. They don't require a lot of time and patience to blend, which you would expect with an oil pencil. So it's just quite odd to me, really. Unless Ohuhu have formulated a some kind of pencil recipe that is oil but feels like wax. I don't know. We have the yellow. You see, so I went a little bit harder there and I just snapped the tip off. But that's my own heavy-handedness. I'm just putting a little bit more of that yellow orange over because I don't think I left a soft enough layer for the yellow to blend into properly. Then we've got the green. Again, let me just put a little bit more of this yellow, a little bit softer, so that we're giving them the best chance we can give them. This just reminds me of an ice lolly. Do you ever have those? You guys in America, we have them over here. They're called, like, I can't remember what they're called actually, but they're like traffic lights. So it's like red, yellow, green. Oh, what are they called? Ice lollies or popsicles, you would call them in America, I suppose. And this is what this reminds me of. But I'm just trying to think what they're called. I'm just doing this a little bit lighter. When you're moving from a light colour into a dark one, because I always do dark to light, and I can't do this on a rainbow, I change up the way that I'm colouring halfway through just to make sure we're getting a nice blend. So I'll come back in with the green. Lots of crumbs with these pencils. That's something to consider if you find yourself smudging pencils a lot. And again, not something you tend to see in an oil-based pencil, a lot of crumbs. So there's a bit of trouble there with those two colours blending, but they are quite different, so that's probably why. This should be okay. I'll start from the darker one at the end. I always get told off for blowing when I'm doing my videos. And I have got a brush that I use, but I just never seem to get it out. It's just quicker to blow it, isn't it? I'm just blending those two together. So we'll see when we do the next part, which is the layering, how well these pencils build up on top of each other. And that might give us a bit of a better perspective. Right, let me get my brush so I don't get told off. Okay, so that's not too bad at all. I think the only problem area I had was here going between these two colours, but that's again my fault for choosing those. I guess I could come in with a Celadon, this one, and try and blend that out a little bit. We're getting a lot of build up now, so I won't go too far. But there we go, so that's the rainbow blend. And yeah, it's okay. I mean, the vibrancy is 10 out of 10. They're really, really saturated, very vibrant colours. So, you know, if that's what you're looking for, if you're the type of colourist that uses a lot of really bold colours in your colouring, then yeah, I think you'd enjoy these pencils. Let's see how they layer. So I'm going to get, what shall I get? Let's just get this one. This is the Azure Blue. And I'm going to start off with one really light layer. Because if they are oil based, you would think that they are going to layer up really, really nicely with this approach. So I'm going to do the same thing all the way across actually, so that we've got a whole sort of range of the light pressure. Am I just talking rubbish? Sometimes I find it hard to think what I'm saying and also colour at the same time. I'm just going to put one coat across all of these boxes. I'm not too fussed about filling the whole box in, it's just a test. So that's one layer of pressure. Now here I'm going to go for 2 layers, and I'm keeping my pressure the exact same. We are just layering up, so that's 2 layers. Now I'm going to do 3 on this one. The paper that I'm using on this one, by the way, is some paper called Spring Hill, and I was looking at Sarah Renee Clark's paper recommendations, and that was one of them that she recommended, because I don't want to buy the wrong Nina again. Because I've now got a whole book full of illustrations that took ages to print and bind that are on the wrong paper for pencils, so fantastic. And so that was 4, now we've got 5. 3, 4, 5. Let's go for 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll try 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so let's have a look and examine this then. I think once we get to the 4 layer mark, we start noticing a little bit of wax buildup. I'm going to call it wax buildup because that's what it feels like to me. And kind of as we go along, more of the tooth is being filled in on the paper, but there are some areas where it's a little bit splotchy. Is that a word? Is that an artist word? It doesn't feel nice to me. It doesn't feel it's got the ability to do more than 4 layers and have a nice result. I feel like it's not a layering pencil. That's my opinion. You may disagree, and that's absolutely fine. But to me, I don't get the layerability that I would normally get in an oil-based pencil. It's just not, it doesn't feel there for me. It's probably hard to tell on camera, but I'm just telling you what I can see and experience here. But yeah, I wouldn't say it is the best if you are looking for a layerable pencil. Definitely there for the vibrancy, and the blending is really good as well. Layering, not so much. Right, so let's try some blending methods then. I'm going to get my red, and I'm going to show you a pencil blend first. So we'll do this quite quickly. So this is going to be pencil only. So I'm doing this quick and with fairly hard pressure, because when I'm blending my colours, and I'm not using any kind of blending solution, I will burnish blend. That's just my preferred method. So we'll do a quick burnish blend. Obviously we've already seen this on the rainbow blend above, but this is just to give you an idea of different blending methods and how they work. So that's a quick sort of rudimentary pencil blend, and it's not that great. I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking, you know, Claire, you're not giving these pencils a fair whack if you don't do it properly. I think it's because I'm rushing. You know why I'm rushing? Because the dog is out at a play park with my kids for an hour. So I was like, I've got to get some filming done, because the rest of the time is purely buddy time, and I don't get time to film because he doesn't like me to be without him or doing anything that he's not involved in. And if he goes to sleep in his crate, then I have to be really quiet, so I can't film then either. And I guess I'm working around the dog and he's not working around me at the moment, but oh well. Okay, there's a bit of a pencil blend, not perfect, but anyway. Then we want a white pencil blend, so I'm going to put a layer of this down again, the same as we did before, and then we're going to use the white pencil in the set to see what kind of blend we get with that. Now usually the results from the white pencil blend is that you will find the colour dilutes a little bit, it goes a bit milky, because obviously you're adding white, aren't you? So it's going to make it lighter, it's going to make it not as vibrant. So that's just a very quick layer. I'll grab the white, which is a little bit dirty, so let me just clean it off, and then we'll do that. So let's try this. So straight away, hopefully you can see, the lighting's a bit silly today, hopefully you can see that it bleaches the colour a little bit. It just makes it softer and takes the vibrancy out of it completely, but it does do quite a good job if we're just looking at blending. So let me shut my blinds here next to me, because I think that that is sort of not helping with the lighting situation. Hopefully that's a bit better. Yeah, so you can see it's blended the pencils together, but there's barely any of the vibrancy left when we compare it with the pencil only. Now we've got blender pencil, so I'm probably going to use the Prismacolor blending pencil because that's the one that I'm most used to using. If you have always struggled with blenders like me, please go and watch the latest video from Sugar Sweet. I'll link his channel below. He has done a real deep dive and a comprehensive video all about blender pencils and the different types of blender pencils and what they are best used for. So it's really good. He spent so much time and effort on that video. I really appreciated what he did there, and it's so interesting as well, and it's going to change the way that I use my blender pencils. Now let me just find my Prisma pencil. Where is it? I've got a Derwent, I've got a Caran d'Ache. Here we go, Prisma. So clean that off, and let's see how this pushes into the page. So with colourless blenders, the usual thing you will find, if you're using the wrong blender, which I probably am, you will find that you have a lot of speckly, gritty kind of texture. And in Jesse's video, he does talk about why this happens and the kind of blender that you actually want to get if you want to avoid things like this happening. But to me, a blender pencil, it tends to remove the vibrancy for a start, but then also leave you with a gritty texture, which I don't like either of in my colouring. I suppose it could be handy if you were colouring something that was meant to be textured, like sand. That would be fantastic to colour sand with a blender pencil over the top, because you'd get that real gritty texture. Yeah, it's definitely taken up a lot of the vibrancy off of the colours, and it's not something that I'm a fan of. But I do need to get some more blender pencils of the ones that Jesse said in his video of those brands, because they look amazing. So next thing is blending solution. So I'm going to do my old thing again. You'll get used to seeing me do this. So I'm really not pressing very hard whatsoever. They just come out really, really heavily pigmented, which is great. I'm hoping that they do bring a bigger set out. Not sure as if I'll get it at this moment. I do have a lot of coloured pencil types and brands. Don't know as if I'm going to jump to this one every time. You know, I want to colour with something different, but maybe that will change. Like I said, the vibrancy is excellent, and I'm kind of known for my really bold, vibrant colouring. So yeah, let me get a bit of a paintbrush, because I always paint on my solution. So this, by the way, is Spectrum Noir pencil blending solution. I don't think they make it anymore. I've had that for years, probably about 7 years I've had that, and it's just starting to run out. But if you've got Gamsol or Zest-It or any kind of other odorless mineral spirit, that's exactly what this is. It's the same thing. So I've just given that a nice little wash over. I don't want to move the colours too much, because that can also happen with blending solution, is you're shifting the colour from one place to another. Whereas really I just want it to do the work itself. So I'll let that evaporate. Then we'll try alcohol marker. So for the last time, let's do our little initial layer. Now, alcohol markers tend to have in their sets a colourless blender, which is kind of not what it is. It's not a blender. It's just not got any coloured ink in it. So it's alcohol. It's plain and simple alcohol. So I'm just going to grab one here. This is number 0 from the Copic. And we're going to see how this, can you see I've used it for that same purpose before, but it should be, yeah, it's only stained. It's not going to make a difference. So I'm going over this with my alcohol marker, seeing how this blends the colours, or if it does. Oh, it's gone a bit over the lines there. Okay, so I'm going to come back to this because it needs to dry and evaporate. But just looking at it so far, I don't think you're ever going to be a pencil only blend. It depends again what kind of texture you're going for, and Jesse would disagree with me because he is a blender pencil aficionado and he uses his all the time. But I think just on balance, looking at all of these, you've got the vibrancy, you've got the saturation of colour, and the blend is really quite good. Whereas the rest of them, you're creating something a bit different and not as good, in my opinion. Right, colour mixing. Now, I used to do this with red, blue and yellow, but I'm pretty sure you're meant to do it with cyan, magenta and yellow, right? It's not supposed to be the primary colours. So we'll give that a go, because we want to see if these will mix into different colours. So let's see, have I got a magenta? Let's have a look. I think the closest I'm going to get to a magenta is this peach colour. That's another thing. Some of the names of the pencils are not really great when you look at the actual colour. So I think probably, yeah, this peach. Let's get that. And then we want a cyan colour, which I think is, ooh, is it as deep as cerulean though? I'm looking at seagull blue. Let me compare. I think, I don't know. Let me get the seagull blue. I'm gonna get the seagull blue. So we have those two, and then what did I say? A yellow. So I have a yellow already, so that's fine. So hopefully this turns out okay. So I'm gonna fill each of the circles with a layer of colour Don't know whether I should have gone for that cerulean blue or not, but and we're going to see what happens. On the points where these cross, if we can make, you know, different colours with them. So that's just one layer. I'm going to keep going. We do have a little bit of change going on already, but I feel like more layering is going to help. Let's try and fill in those circles now. Right, so on 2 layers, I can definitely see some changes going on. We've got what could be an orange. It's definitely on the darker side between the magenta and the yellow. And then we've got, for sure, a purple colour between the blue and the magenta. Looking between the green, the blue and the yellow, I am seeing a little bit of green as well. I'm just wondering if I do this completely burnished out, will we get solid colours or not? There's only one way to find out. So I'm just going to completely burnish these now. See what happens to those points where they cross over. Yeah, the colour saturation is definitely creating more of the colours that we're looking for in the mix. But I suppose it depends on, you know, the type of colours that you use, the different tones of colour. Like this is really, really vibrant, this magenta. This blue, not so much. So it could be that the magenta's kind of taking over. It definitely is here on the orange where it meets the yellow. Just try and put a bit more yellow over that and see what happens. Okay, so I can definitely see we've got purple, green and orange. It's just that they're quite deep shades. They're not, you know, very light, but then again, I have just burnished them all. So as for mixing, do these pencils mix? Yes, they do. If you used a few more layers, would that help with the mixing process? Maybe, I don't know, because looking at my layers up here and what I can see there from kind of the sort of bits of wax everywhere, I don't know if a lot of layering would help. Now we're going to look at erasing. So I'm going to use this blue. We're going to do a light pressure here. And then we'll do a heavy pressure on this one. And then we'll try and erase both of them and see how they erase. Now, oil-based pencils do tend to erase better than wax-based ones. So let's have a look. I'm just going to do a line down the middle. Not bad at all. And this one. Okay. There's definitely quite a lot of colour on here. I would say that it's taken about 30% of the colour off. So it's not brilliant. And then this one, it's not done too bad. What if I give it a little bit more? See, this has really shifted the colour outwards. Yeah, so we get a little bit more lift of colour, but it's definitely smudged the colour out all over the place. So I wouldn't say they're good for erasing particularly, which again, makes me wonder about the wax oil debate. I don't know. Let's try smudging then. Let's use a purple this time. So I'm going to do just a normal layer, normal pressure layer, and then we'll try and smudge. Yeah, we've definitely got some smudge in there. It's not the worst ever, which is good. Now if we put on a little bit more pigment, I'm assuming we're going to get more smudging. A little bit more, not too bad. I think if you were just brushing your hand over it, you wouldn't have any problem at all, providing you get rid of the crumbs first, because that can be what creates the smudge when you're sort of doing that on your pencil like I do, on your paper, sorry. So yeah, it's okay, it's okay. I think, like I said, you know, let's just do this again. If you're just kind of doing that, it's not really moving at all, so that's good. You'd really have to press hard on it. So that's a plus. Now we've got solubility. Have I got a paintbrush with some water? Probably not. Or have I? I think there's a little bit of water left in this. It'll save me having to get up anyway. So we're going to test for water solubility. Now it did say they were waterproof, so we shall see. Let's grab this orange. So I'm going to put a light layer here, and then I'm going to get a bit darker as we go down, a bit heavier. And we'll see what that solubility is like. If it is definitely waterproof, that's me, I just went out the line there. So we'll start on the lighter bit and we'll go over. It's definitely moving some colour, for sure. Let's try this. Yeah, we definitely have some colour movement, for sure. Let's try and erase this little bit that went out of the lines there. Yeah, you can see that it's moved. It's not the worst I've ever seen, but it definitely isn't waterproof. If you get a splash of water on your page, it is going to create a problem. So yeah, for me, waterproof is waterproof. It's like dough and ink tents. Once they're dry, you ain't moving them suckers. This, yeah, not so great. Now this says opacity. I created this chart. I'm talking as if I didn't create it. This says opacity. So I will need some black paper. Do I have any is the question. Never ever prepared. Never prepared. Is this black paper? Is this black paper? Yes! Right, okay. Let's get a little bit of paper from here then. I'm doing this left-handed, so hopefully it turns out all right. You see how ham-fisted this is? They would never employ me to do product reviews, you know, for a brand, ever. Right, so let's go the whole hog and stick it down while I've got a glue stick handy. The one time I've actually got something that I need in front of me. Okay, let's just stick that down. Ta-da! Right, opacity then. So what we're looking for here is how vibrant they look on black. If they don't look like much at all, then I would say that's typical for an oil-based pencil. If they have a lot of vibrancy, I would say they're leaning more towards wax. It's not foolproof, you know, by any means, but just from my experience, that's what tends to happen. So let's use the colours we already had on the rainbow blend then. So we've got the red. Interesting. I was expecting that to be a lot more vibrant than it is. So this is a tick in the column for oil-based. Yellow. And then we've got the green. You can barely tell the difference between the yellow and green. Then we have the blue-green. A deep blue. And the violet. Okay, so not much opacity then on there. Don't know if I was on camera then. Oh dear. Right, okay. Not much opacity there. I mean, there's a bit, you know, but it's not fantastic. I just want to compare it. So let me grab a Prismacolor. Where are you? There you are. So there should be a red that I can test. So this is, oh, permanent red Prismacolor. There's a bit more vibrancy there. There's a bit more opacity. Let's then try a yellowed orange. Now you see the difference. And yellow. Well, that's a neon. I don't want to do it with a neon, do I? That's not being very fair. I have a lemon yellow. Just so that you can have a direct comparison. Then we've got green. Don't know if I have the right green, but we're just doing this for look, aren't we? So let's go with this one. And a blue green would be more of a parrot green, or a sorry, I'm talking to myself, a peacock blue, which might be in here somewhere. Cobalt turquoise isn't that far off. Let's go with that. Yeah, just so much more vibrant. Then we've got a dark blue. Let's go with this china blue. Maybe a bit too dark actually, but. And then a purple. Where is a purple? I don't think I have a violet. I need some more Prismas. I know it looks like I've got a lot, but I've run out of the ones that I use most often, and I really, really need to get some more. I don't think I'm going to have a purple to show you, but I think you get the gist. I think you get the gist. Is there a tiny violet in here anywhere? Ooh, tiny violet. Right, let's give that a go. Okay, so you can see there, Ohuhu is the top row, Prismacolor is the bottom, and you can see definitely which ones are more opaque. Let's have a look at Polychromos, because if they're saying these are oil-based, they should be more similar to Polychromos, right? So let me get a red. Let's go this one. This is difficult now because I've taken the flipping room up. Okay, let me put it here next to it. Not too much difference there. Definitely more on the oil, you know, on the Ohuhu side. Then we want a orange, or a yellow orange, or no, we do want an orange, don't we? Getting mixed up, don't mind me. Here's an orange. That almost blends right into the Ohuhu. I'm so confused by these pencils. Then we want a yellow. More vibrant than the Ohuhu, definitely. Then we want a green. Let's go for this one. Oh, again, a lot more vibrant than the Ohuhu, but still not as vibrant and opaque as the Prismacolor, which is what I would have expected. And then we've got their Prismas. We've got a blue-green, blue-green. Will this one work? It's going to have to. And a darker blue. Let's do this one. And then a violet, which is probably going to be this one. So for the most part, hopefully you can tell with that little comparison, a bit cack-handed, but the differences. So I would say, on comparison to Polychromos, they definitely look more oil than the Prismacolors. they've not got the vibrancy of those, but the Polychromos are definitely more opaque and more vibrant than the Ohuhu, which I guess you could say the Ohuhu don't cost as much as the Polychromos, so you know, they weren't made with as good of pigments, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I can't compare apples and oranges, but on the opacity test, they look more oil. On every other test, they feel more waxy. So make of that what you will. I've done my absolute best to kind of show you everything that I can without having you here with me and testing the pencils, which I wish you were. That'd be great if we all came around and had a colouring party. Brought our pencils with us and tested all different things out. That'd be a dream. But yeah, I would love to know what you think. I would love to know if you have the pencils and if you've encountered the same kind of things I have, because everyone else I was talking to and or I was watching videos of all seem to love them and not really find a lot to grumble about, whereas I don't think, you know, they're as good as people say. I don't think they're bad pencils by all means, please don't get me wrong. If these were the only pencils I ever had to use ever again on a desert island, I would not be upset. But would I recommend buying them? I wish you could try them first. I don't know if Ohuhu have open stock. I don't think they do. Again, I could be wrong. That's always what I say with pencils though, you know, you really need to try them. It's so personal to whether someone's going to like a pencil, how they feel, how they lay down, how much pigment they show, how much pressure they need, the paper that you're using. It's so individual. So yeah, I think hopefully you can just see what I've done today and make up your own minds from that. Looking back at these mixing, that's actually quite good for a mix, so fairly happy with that actually. The blending solution one is probably the second best after the pencil only blend, so it's still kind of bleached it a little bit. We've got some speckling going on, but I'm not very big on blenders and I need to be, because like I said, go and watch that video. I'm not promoting it. He's not paid me, believe me. I just want you to go and watch it because it's so fascinating. Definitely if you're interested in blenders anyway. And everything else, you know, it is what it is. I think the layering, not what I was hoping for from an oil-based pencil. So I don't know, maybe these pencils and the formula sit more in between the wax and oil. Maybe there's like a 50-50 and you get some properties of wax and some of oil. I wouldn't call them oil-based though. I wouldn't go out of the gate marketing them as oil-based because they're not going to feel like oil-based pencils for people that have experienced Polychromos and the rest of them. So yeah, that's that. Now, let's have a look at these paint pens, acrylic markers, 24 colours. I think they might have a bigger set as well, but this is the one that I got. We've got the colours on the back. Again, says conforms to ASTM. Is that not, that is the Lightfast, isn't it? ASTM, because you've got blue wool. Unless ASTM is something to do with, hang on a minute, have I just made a massive fluff? I think ASTM, is that something to do with non-toxic pencils? And Lightfast is something else. Oh my gosh, I wish I had my phone with me to check. I'll put it on screen if I find it. I just had it in my head that ASTM is Lightfast. It is, isn't it? Or no? Anyway, God. I'm supposed to be a professional reviewer, and I'm so not. Right, I'll put it on screen. Let's open this up then. So we've got a wallet. It's kind of a canvasy material. I really like the little artwork on the front. And on the back, you've got all of the, you know, where it's imported from and stuff. Do we really need all that on the back of the actual product? Would have been fine on the sleeve anyway. So inside, we've got a user manual. It says it's direct ink acrylic pen. That means that you shake it to make sure it's well mixed, and then you can fill out the colour chart, which we will do today. You don't need to prime or pump these pens, which is fantastic. So we've got a swatch on white and a swatch on black, which is fantastic. And these feel really thick too. Then you've got the actual computer swatches, the digital swatches. I can't say that word. Right, let's try them on both then. We'll have a look at the actual pen first, shouldn't we? Well, this is interesting. This doesn't feel like a normal paint marker. If you've got acrylic markers, they normally have the same kind of bog standard makeup, you know, of the pen itself, the same kind of barrel and lid. These feel like a kind of ballpoint pen that you might have bought for school to write with. We've got the Ohuhu Nahuku acrylic markers on there. ASTM again. I don't know. And then on here we've got the pen number, which is R60. I don't know if we have a name. I don't think we do. No, there's no names on these, just numbers. So that's worth knowing. We've then got a little window that you can have a look at, you know, if you're running out of ink, how much ink you've got left. I don't know whether it's easy to tell because I think the paint has kind of coated it. So it's hard to tell, you know, unless you stand it up like that for ages and ages to be able to see. I'm just looking out the window. You can't see through it either. Then you might not know. But anyhow, I really like the way that they look. They look really, really nice. They don't look like acrylic pens. And I like that. It's something different. You know, they look quite premium and not kind of white labelled off the conveyor belt. Do you know what I mean? So let me check them. We've got R60, which is this one here. And I'm going to go over the black lines because I want to see how they cover. And you can still see me, right? Good. Then we have R30, which is just next door. Now, it's usual to find with acrylic paint pens that you need more than one layer to cover anything underneath. That's normal, that's expected. I'm not, you know, expecting these to work miracles. So then we've got R20. You can see a little bit of this inside. It actually says everywhere, all over the packaging and on the pen as well, shake, then enjoy. And I haven't done that on the last 3 pens, so let's start doing that now. So I've shook that one. R20. We're going in kind of backwards order here. And then we've got YR60. Yeah, we're definitely going backwards. Trust me to pick the wrong way. Why am I always chaotic? Why are these videos all over the place? Hopefully you're not new to the channel, because if you are, you'll be thinking, who is this woman and what is wrong with her? E41. I'm not looking at the colours at the minute, I'm just swatching them, then we will assess afterwards and see what we think of the range. Oh, don't forget to shake it. They do have a little ball thing inside as well. I can hear it. I don't know if you can. And we've got Y30. And finally, arguably most importantly, the white. I want to know how this covers. A lot of people use acrylic pens for highlights and little dots and details and cute little sparkly bits. So it's important if the white is good or not. I'm going the right way this time. We're back on course, guys. G41. That one didn't mix very well. My fault. I'm rushing. Definitely come out more juicy and smoother if you give them a good shake. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is not the biggest size that they do of these markers. I think they've got a larger set. So that means you've got far more colour choice. But if you are maybe new to colouring and you just want a set of acrylic pens that's nice, that work, that look nice, and you don't need all the colours on the earth, this 24 set is probably perfect. Just looking so far at the colours that we've got, lots of pinky shades. I'm trying not to look. Does this set have a name? No. I thought it might be like pastels or something, but it's not. Because I'm just noticing out the corner of my eye, the colours are quite pastel-y. That noise in the background is my tablet alarm, which I'm going to have to go and sort out in a moment because it won't go off otherwise. This is C00, which is a cool grey apparently. Just have to drive away to the Apple Music for a minute. C01. What's that? Oh yeah, we don't have a name for it, do we? Definitely on the cooler side though. And then we have the black. Right, I'm going to go and turn that alarm off and then I'll be back. I'm back. So that's given the colours a little bit of a chance to dry. Let's have a look then. So I'm more interested how they look on black, on white, because that's what we colour on usually, white paper. So like I said, they are quite light in colour, a lot of these. That's why I wondered if it was a pastel set, but it's not. So there are obviously some, you know, deeper colours. This orange is quite nice. We've got the red and the two blues there, the green, I think. But for the rest of them, they are quite, they're more tints, aren't they, than like what you'd expect from such a small set would be bold primary colours, you know, basic colours. But I really like the combinations that are in this set. You've got some really nice blues that would all blend beautifully into one another. The greens are nice as well, even though I messed up that one. But again, they kind of follow each other. The pinks, these are lovely sort of lipstick pinks. This is what I sort of imagine when I think back to the early 90s when I was looking through my mum's lipsticks, you know, these kind of colours. I don't know where that came from. Yeah, nice little very light pink there. We've got some coffee kind of colours. Like I say, a couple of greys and a black. Only cooler greys though, very steely, very blue. But you know, it's 24 pens, so what more can you ask for? Let's have a look on the black then, where they show up obviously a lot more vibrantly, because all paint pens do on the black. Really, really nice. If you're someone that colours over black, I can't see you having a problem with these whatsoever. Like I said before, you know, you need a couple of layers with paint markers. It's always the way. I haven't found a paint marker yet, including Posca, that will cover a large area and not need any further layers. So yeah, I think they've done a really nice job. Really like the colour range, even though some of them are a bit light, you know, than what I would have expected, but they're still really nice colours. The pens themselves, so nice, just really nice. They feel nice in the hand. I like the curved edges on the cap and on the end. I really like them. So I would love to have the bigger set of these because I think I would use these quite a lot. I've never even shown you the brush, have I? Let me get one of them out that's not black so that I can show you the brush, because that's important as well. Okay, so it is a fairly short brush in the grand scheme of things. If you look at, say, a Copic, and I know this isn't an alcohol marker, but I just want to show you difference in the brush. The length of it is quite short compared. And it's kind of narrower as well, definitely. So it's less like a paintbrush, it's more compact. And you can get some thin lines and you can get some really thick lines as well. So just like any other brush pen, you can practice kind of techniques, you know, if you know how to do calligraphy. I clearly don't. But yeah, all in all, I like this set. I've got nothing bad to say about them. And I just hope that you've enjoyed yet another rambly review from me. I've tried to show you what these products can do as best as I can, especially the pencils, because, you know, I'm more of a pencil girl than an acrylic marker girl, so I can only do my best on those. But I would love to know, I really would love to know what you think of these pencils if you got them. I did ask on my Facebook page, I think, a while ago, and again, people seem to love them. So, you know, they're not a bad pencil. They are not a bad pencil. I can't remember how much they cost. I'm going to put it on the screen now, but obviously prices change. You might be watching this in 2030 and they might be obsolete by then. But I'm going to look at the price when I finish this, and then I'm going to just put a little note on the screen of what I think in terms of value. Like, are they worth the price, basically? So thank you very much for watching. I'd love to know what you think, and I will see you very soon on Colour with Claire.